too. Don't ask me what happened. Never happened before, but yeah, weird stuff happening already. So bear with us. Um, Now the issue we're going to have is the people that had the link. If you're watching, Christopher, Wendy, Donna, Laura, if you had the link, we're going to post a new link in the comments. So come back into the room and I'll look back there and I'll bring you on in a minute. So you got to click that one. You can't use the one you have because it's not going to work anymore because I had to create a whole new room because Facebook did whatever it did to us. So click that link and then come in and I'll see you in the guest area and I'll bring you in a minute. So as I was saying before everything went kafooey, um, we there's a couple of subjects that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. Dream visitation is one of them. People claim that they are visited by their loved ones in their dreams, and we talked about this the other night. How it's not out of the realm of possibility. In fact, it may be very possible because you're in an altered state as far as your conscious or your subconscious, and maybe that is easier to bridge that gap. Yeah. Being in that state where the active mind isn't thinking and you're worried about your job or your life or your kids and all that other stuff, and you're sleeping, your mind is just wandering. So maybe it's easier for our loved ones to come in using that as a method of communication. Entirely possible. Another subject that, again, later on we'll be doing the near-death experience discussion. I have someone that's coming on with that. So I'm trying to kind of bring people in and talk about different things. I'm going to have someone from a haunted location coming on next week. But tonight is about dream visitation. Again, there's supposed to be 3 or 4 people joining us. We'll see how that works. We talked about this before. Before we bring them in, me personally, I lost my sister a little bit over a month ago. I haven't dreamed about her or had any kind of visitation that I would call a dream of visitation. My mom, I believe once or twice, definitely once, I had a dream about my mom in which I saw her and I was happy to see her and I hugged her and I actually felt the hug and I felt the emotion of seeing her for the first time in a long time. You believe you've had them as well?
I've had from my mother, and the crazy part for me is that the details. It's about the details for me, and the feeling, the smells that make it real and not a dream. I mean, because you could tell the difference with dreams. But with me, when my mom passed away, I took about a year and a half before I had this dream, and that was because when my mom passed away, I really went to a deep, deep depression and couldn't get myself up out of it. And I was her caregiver in her last year, and it was very difficult. And I got to know her not only as my mother, but as a woman to woman, with the things that we discussed and we talked about. So it elevated that relationship to a whole different level for me. And when she passed, it just devastated me on so many levels. But she came to me in a dream, and it was so funny. She had her favorite silk nightie that I had to wash for her every night for her to wear. And she came to me in that dream, and she was on the floor and she was working on a tapestry. And in the tapestry was moving, and the things that were moving were representative of my 2 younger sisters and everything about them. And then she put her hand up behind her, like, wait. She would let me see her face, and she had her hair from like when she was younger hanging over her face, and she basically told me to wait. And then the next thing I know, there's another tapestry that's being done that represents me and my older sister. And then once it was completed, and again, these tapestries are in motion, they're moving, the pieces in and out that symbolize each one of us. And once she was done, she got up, she embraced me, and I felt it. I smelled her. I felt her hug. She still wouldn't let me see her face. And all she said to me is, it's time for you to let me go. I'm tired. I'm really tired. I'm okay now. It's okay. And I gave her one last squeeze, and she literally climbed up these stairs to this high top bed and crawled in and rolled over and went to sleep. And I woke up the next day feeling like I had been released from something so heavy.
So Sally said she had the same thing with her dad, where she hugged her father. And again, you know, we have the people waiting in the back that I'm going to get on as soon as we're done with this little opening here. But you know, the skeptic part of my brain would go, you know, it's something that we really, really want, and we're missing these people, and we love these people, and not having them in our lives anymore leaves a gigantic hole in our lives. So I think, like we talked about dream interpretation with Jefferson, I think sometimes that could, in theory, become an unresolved thing with us internally that manifests in dreams where we do see them. Again, that's the skeptic in me. But I do, the paranormal part of my brain does think it's completely, um, it's a possibility that
Oh, I don't.
if
I'm
there is
not
spirit
skeptical about it
communication,
at all.
it can happen in that state of mind.
I'm
That
not.
it's,
I'm
it's
not. I
possible.
am not skeptical about it at all. I
Uh,
100%, because
this
my
is my mom.
daughter, who passed away 3 years ago, she came to me so much quicker than my mother did to assure and let me know, because my worry was about my youngest daughter, because they were like this. They were soulmates. My two daughters, and they literally she responded with, "I'm with her. You do not have to worry." And that to me is, it's real.
All right. So, yeah, Wes says like a self defense. I don't know if it's self defense. I think it's more of a, it's just, again, uh,
Your innermost
it's
desire.
traumatic. It's a traumatic thing to lose somebody, especially someone who means that much to you. And I think, again, this is the skeptic part of my brain just saying that it's entirely possible that that is just in you, like, certain going certain places and seeing things that remind you of that person
So
or
a
having
trigger that
memory.
protects you,
Yeah,
kind of
it's
thing.
all in there. It's
See,
all
for me,
it's all in there.
for me,
In your subconscious.
I think when you have a connection with somebody like that, that connection cannot be broken even in death.
All right, so here we go. We're gonna make this
It's like so high
a
up. I got
community thing. We're gonna bring people in, open forum. So if anybody else wants to share as we go, we do have the link. If we get through everyone that we have, um, we can bring some others on as well, because I do see people posted in there as well. If you want to share and come on, you could do that. So first we'll start with is this Laura? There you are. How are you?
Hi, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, hold
Yeah.
on one second. I just want to change this layout. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Okay. Sorry it took so long. We were going on our opening there, and there's a lot to talk about when it comes to this subject. And I see all the posts there that people are, again, if you want to share, feel free to share. But Laura, tell us about your experience.
Yeah, so my grandmother passed away in 1995, and when I was growing up, she always would entertain the family, always would, we'd go over for Halloween, Thanksgiving, Easter, Christmas, and she always had, and I have it right here, this like metal server. And on the server, she would have these bowls. These were back from like the 60s. These are called silver fade bowls, which I just recently discovered. So, like, discover what they were. So she always had this server with the four bowls on the server, and she would put, candies and nuts and all kinds of things in the server. So growing up as a child into my early 20s, I saw this thing every year at every function and I loved it. I just loved it. She just took such great pride in her things. So when she passed away, my grandfather passed 5 months after, and we were breaking up their home. Um, you know, People were getting all different kinds of things, and I got several items from their home, and I said, "Can I have that server, Nana's server?" And my dad said, "Sure, if you want it." So I got it. And then I this was like probably like 1996 at this point, and I packed it away, and I was just about to move into my first apartment. So in the move to the apartment, I accidentally broke 4 of the bowls.
Wow.
And or no, 3 of the bowls. I broke 3 and had 1 left. And I was devastated because I had no idea where. I mean, I knew this thing was back from the 50s or the 60s. I had no idea where I could find them again. The internet was in its infancy back then, so there was no eBay. There was just I had no um, place to look for replacement of these bowls that were my grandmother's. So I packed it away, and I didn't really think more about it, but I just kept it. Well, soon after that, I started to dream about her. I started to dream about my grandmother. She would come to me, and in the dream, she was like either putting the candies and things in these bowls, getting ready to serve, or she was like in the kitchen talking to me about this server thing. And then I would wake up, and this dream happened several times. And I would wake up and be so upset and like, oh man, like I wish I could find the replacement bowls for this server. And I could have used any other bowl, but it just wouldn't have looked like hers. It wouldn't have just authenticated it for me. You know what I mean? So about 4 months after that, I was a big yard sailor at that point back then. I used to go to yard sales constantly. And there was this one Saturday I woke up and I was like, I'm not going. I'm not going. I'm so tired. I had a busy work week and I just said, I'm not going. Well, something came over me, a compelling feeling that you're going. You are going. And I was like, oh, so I fought it and I fought it and I thought, all right. So I threw clothes on. I went to the market. I picked up a paper and there was like 25 yard sales listed. And I just remember looking down. I said to myself, all right, I'm only going to pick 2. That's it. 2 houses and I'm going home. And I just kind of went eeny, meeny, miny, mo, 2 houses that were close to each other. And I went. And I'm standing, I got out, beautiful big house. The couple had tables lined in the driveway. I started looking at the things they were selling, and I got a message in my mind that said, "Look right." I heard and felt something say, "Look right." And I looked over, and here, not only was there 1, but there was 5 of my
Wow.
grandmother's bowls. And like this rush of adrenaline like went through my body
Mhm.
because I've been obsessing with this thing for a while now. And I looked over and I was like, I cannot believe it. And I walked over and I picked up one and I heard in my head again, there you go. There you go. Like a very gentle, there you go. And I started to cry. Tears are running down my face. And the homeowner comes over and she says, are you okay? Are you all right? And I just shook my head and I told her the story. She started to cry. Her husband started to cry.
Oh
And
man.
she said, these were my grandmothers. She said, I didn't know what to do with them. And she said, I've had them in my attic for like all these years. And I started to get the money out. She was charging like $1 for each bowl. And I started to get my money out and she said, no, 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 no. She said, you take them.
Oh
They
my
belong to
God.
you. And so not only did my grandmother send me the 3 replacements to the ones I broke, but she gave me 2 extra in case
You
I were
got
to be
backup.
clumsy again. But a lot of people will say, oh, that was just, coincidence.
No
I
way.
don't think
No
so.
way.
I
No
don't think
way.
Mhm.
so. And
Not know how many things had to have happened,
yeah,
coincidentally to bring you to that
But you know
place at
what's really
that
cool? Like
time.
what you're
Wow.
saying, you're talking about this. I remember I did was it last year I did the yard sale? It was last year, right? I had a yard sale last year, and I had made the decision to part with my daughter's things. She was a clothes person. Like her clothes were gorgeous, immaculate, and just gorgeous dresses that I don't wear dresses. So I actually told them, this is where I've got to let these things go. And I had a whole rack filled with them. And a woman showed up, and this is what's so unique about what you said. I think the universe has a way of doing things that we can't understand. A woman comes up and she's going through the racks and she's just making stacks and stacks and she's picking out my daughter's favorite things, all of her favorite things. And I'm like astonished. And then she looks at me and she goes, I'm going to have to go through these because I can't afford all of this stuff. And I turned around and I go, well, what is it that you're looking for? She goes, I have a daughter at home that is bipolar and has a mental condition, and she loves clothes, and I'm trying to make her feel better about herself. It's what my daughter had. That's what she
Oh,
ended up dying
wow.
from. So I was like, you know what? These were meant for you. They're yours. Take them
Yep.
all.
So when you got them and you were bringing them home, any more dreams, or was that kind of
Yeah.
the end of?
Nope, I never dreamed of her again in any
Wow.
way, shape, or form. Never, never.
Did you get that feeling like when you brought them home and you put them away? Did you get that feeling of, wow, that everything's right in the world, that was meant
Fulfillment.
to happen,
Oh,
and she knows
absolutely.
it, and she knows
Absolutely.
it? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I think as I was not going to go yard sailing. And I mean, I'll be honest, I used to like get up at the crack of dawn, 5 a.m, early bird gets the worm. This was like early in my days of
Wow.
having, I mean, I own my home now. I've been in my home for 17 years, but when early on, I didn't have much money and I didn't have much money for decorations and things like that. So I would go out and I would do the yard sales.
Pour some
So
of
that
in for Jake.
day, I
Okay.
tell you, I was not going to go. It wasn't like I was on the fence. I'm like, I'm not going. And then once I did that, I got this really overwhelming feeling like you are going. I heard it in my
Wow.
head. You are
Wow.
going. And just the fact that I chose the 2 houses out of a
Yeah.
list of 25 houses,
Yeah.
only 2 houses.
I
If
was
I had,
fated.
I mean, it was fate. And I
Yeah.
believe it was her. And, like this whole server thing, like my whole house is country, like farmhouse country. This doesn't even go in my house, but I still use it to this day. And it just, every time I look at it, I have a piece of her in with me at the holidays. And
That's awesome.
my grandparents made the holidays so wonderful for all of us. And I just know in heaven somewhere she's smiling, I hope.
Wow. What a great way to start.
Oh,
Thank
I
you,
think
Laura.
she is smiling.
I appreciate that.
That was a
Sure.
beautiful story.
Thank you
All
for
right,
having
Laura.
me on.
Take care.
Bye.
All right. I'm gonna see if maybe I could talk to my mom and she can like show me signs for me to get like a Tesla or something. Like cool. Maybe if the fates and the destiny works that way, I can get some.
Self-serving?
Hey, if it works. Jim, we just posted the link again right there, New Jersey Paranormal. If you want to click that and come in. That was a really good start.
That was
and,
a heartwarming
wow,
one too.
Laura, thank you so much for that. That was definitely like a movie. It's like, again, I've said it before. I'm a big believer in signs, and I think some things the universe does kind of put things together for us
too,
in a weird way.
Do you really think like what you say about your subconscious and how we feel that maybe that's what the dream is, but yet hers became something tangible?
Hers was totally different. Yeah. I mean, all righty. Let's see who else is back here. Let's go to Chris.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
There he is. How's it going?
Hey, what's up? Pretty good.
Thanks
Pretty
for
good.
waiting. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. No problem. Thank you for having me.
So go ahead and share. We're sharing. That was
Okay.
it. That was a good one to begin with.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so I've had dreams about my grandparents that passed away years ago. The first one had to do with my grandmother.
Okay.
So my grandparents lived down in a condo down in Florida. At the time, the dream, my grandfather was in the hospital. He was sick. He wasn't feeling well. So, he was in there for quite a while. So then in the dream, I remember I was at the condo where they lived. I walked up to the door and my grandmother answered. And she was gone years prior to this. And she died from Alzheimer's. Mm-hmm. So she lived with it until she was like 81 or something. And mentally gone, physically, she was the healthiest patient her doctor's ever seen.
Yeah.
And when she answered the door, I walked in through the kitchen. I walked to the room that I usually stay at. And then I walked back to the kitchen and she was sitting at her normal seat against the wall and everything. And she's reading the paper. She looks healthy. She looks totally fine, normal, everything. And she looks towards me and she says, "He's going to be fine. He's going to be all right. He'll be fine." And then the dream was done. And then a couple weeks later, he was out of the hospital. He was on to recovery.
God, isn't that crazy?
So she came back to comfort you.
Yeah. I mean, vivid, real, looked healthy, looked back to normal.
I mean,
So,
that is like, again, it's fascinating to me because what again, the tangible results of the dream. But
yeah.
then the other side of that is, let's say it's real and because of the tangible, but the fact that beyond that, your grandmother was in a much better state.
Yeah.
When you saw her during the visit than she was.
She was gone. I mean, physically she was there, but mentally gone. And it was sad to see her like that, but I wanted to see her. She was in a private home, getting the best care that my grandfather could get for her. And he was upset and he didn't want to see her like that. But I mean, he was doing the best he could. I mean, nobody really understood that disease at that stage.
Yeah.
And this woman that took care of her did. And the doctors, I mean, I remember him telling me that the doctor told him that she was the healthiest patients he's ever had with that disease.
Yeah, horrible. Did you ever tell your grandfather about the dream?
No, I don't. You know what? I might have. I don't know. It was so long after that. Maybe I forgot to tell him, but I don't know. I mean, I've actually had a lot of dreams after he passed. I've actually had a lot of dreams with him coming through too.
Really?
And off and on. Like I even had a dream not too long ago with him in it. Perfectly fine, back to normal. We were driving around in a car. He was driving like he normally does, driving around this road. And then we ended up at some hotel somewhere and he was talking normal. There's other times where I've had dreams with him in it where we were, because he lived in Florida and everything. We were on the boardwalk. We were walking around, talking to each other. I mean, a lot of that I don't remember.
Are the conversations about current things or past things during these dreams? Do you remember?
That's the thing is like, I don't remember really what we talk about, but it's like he's physically there and he's like talking to me. We're like hanging out and it's just he's smiling and everything. And I was the world to them, and they spoiled me as a young kid. I saw them from when I was not even born to where, I'm taking care of them at their age.
Wow.
And I mean, there's times, the last time I saw my grandfather, something told me to go and see him. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go down there and I'll hang out with him for a week. And he had a walker and everything, but I was taking him around doing whatever, and the one time we went out to dinner and I took him out, that was his favorite thing. So I took him out to dinner and he used to, every time when I was growing up, he used to tell me, yo, you're going to eat everything off your plate. You're going to get everything. He was a VMI cadet. He went to VMI. He served in Korea. He was a lieutenant in the army. And, he was like that as growing up as I was a little kid. But, and I understood as I got to a certain age where I'm like, I respect the man. He's number one in my book, and he really helped me understand things as I was growing up as a teenager early on, and showed me the world too, like took me different places, and I was I'll never forget all those times and experiences.
This was your mother's father or your father's father?
My mother's father.
Huh. Now, when has it been a long time since you've had a dream about him?
No, not too. I maybe had a dream maybe like a month ago.
Wow, that's something.
See that, but this is what I mean by death doesn't stop those connections.
Yeah, but you also wonder about the other side of that is, again, it's great that you have that and that.
Yeah.
But why don't more of us have that?
I don't know.
I don't know. But I've even had another dream where I was, if you guys have time.
Sure.
I had another dream where I was living in an old farmhouse. I was renting a room there. I knew the family. The farm's been there forever, since before the town even became known. The farm used to be an old dairy farm, but I was living on one of the houses on the property. And the house was like 1950s. So I was living there. I was living in an upstairs room, and I had this dream where I came downstairs, went through the doorway. There's a porch. I went up to the where the pasture is, where the cows are. I went all the way up to the fence line, and it was like a cloudy day, whatever. It was very real. And then there's a boy coming my way, and old overalls. Like he had like a hat on, overalls, and he was coming towards me, and he started talking in like a different language. And I'm like, whoa. And I was trying to ask him, like, what are you saying? What do you like? What's going on? And then all I remember is he was saying that to me, and I turned around and went back towards the doorway where the porch was, and then the dream was over. So then a couple weeks, I talked to my roommate about it, maybe like a couple weeks later, and she's like, she came to me one time, she's like, hey, do you have any experiences in the house? And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, I'm like, no, I haven't had any experience or anything. The house feels very positive. I've never had anything. I've seen anything. I believe in it, but no, I haven't had any experiences. But she said she has had an experience, a couple of them. And then, so I told her about the dream and everything like that. And then she was talking. She's like, her eyes wide, and I'm like, wait, what's up? What's going on? And she's like, well, there's either a worker or a family member that was staying in your room, and he hung himself.
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
whoa. So I don't know if he was.
That's a whole different. That's a whole different thing there, Chris. That's
yeah. I don't know if he was coming
another time. That's a whole nother.
I don't know if he was coming through to me, if he was sending me a message.
That's a whole nother.
I don't know, but very real. Like I was like, whoa. Like, and I remember these things.
Yeah.
Like it was yesterday. Like I had them.
Wow.
So I mean, I do believe that visitation thing through dreams and stuff. Even if I can't see them in like right in front of me at times, at least I could see them in my dreams.
I appreciate you coming on again.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, John.
Grandfather. That was awesome.
Really cool.
Thanks for sharing, Chris.
You're very welcome. Thank you, John. Have a good night. Thank you.
Wow. Who knew that we were going to go down these? See, here's the thing. Again, at what point can you contribute it to just a dream about someone we knew or loved, or a quote-unquote visitation? I mean, cause and effect, the visitation, again, his grandma telling about the father. Again, if I really wanted to go down the skeptic rabbit hole, I could say he was really worried about his grandfather.
And it was a subconscious thing?
Yeah, it was again, I'm just saying, if you wanted to play the skeptic, you could do that. But I'm not that much of a skeptic. I do believe in signs.
I'm going to say something very obvious. What does it matter if it brings you great joy or gets you?
Because we're talking about a specific subject.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, while we're dissecting this and stuff, in the overall of everything, what does it matter if, one, like for me, it brought me out of my depression. Two, for Laura, it gave her something, really beautiful that she found at the yard sale, and then it made Christopher really happy with all the different things that he was experiencing in those dreams.
That's not the point of.
I know it's not the point, but I'm just saying.
You turned it into a hallmark.
Well, whatever it is,
I'm talking about visitation.
I get it.
Whether it is or it isn't,
from my point of view.
Anyway, we'll go to the next person.
That's just why I go.
I'm on the fence about it. See, thank you, Celine, because there is things that factors into.
Yeah.
Again, the discussion that we're having about whether we're talking about dreams or we're talking about a visitation. That's what the subject is.
Well, I think when you have a visitation, it's a visit. There's something that's different than a dream. When you spend your life having dreams and then you have a visitation, there's a different feel to it.
Well, again, I'm a believer in signs. I really am. I mean, that's one of the crazy things about me is that I can go down the skeptic rabbit hole, but I do believe in signs. I do believe that these things could potentially be, somehow, some way there. But again, the other part of my brain goes, why doesn't it happen more often for more people? Because all of us want that. Anybody who's lost someone that they love or care about or a friend, we all want that. So
You're
if it's
looking
possible,
for that missing ingredient,
why is it that more of the spirits, the people that we love, can't come through in that way to give us more of those types of, I'm just saying in general. Hello, Meredith. So let's see who else we got back here. All right, Donna, I see you.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Donna, how are you?
How's it going?
It's going good, except for whatever happened in the beginning there.
Yeah.
So tell us about your experience, Donna.
So I've always been a big dreamer, even as a kid, like just really fabulous dreams, like they continue to this day, like, spy dreams and post-apocalyptic kind of stuff. And I could wake up and write screenplays. So in the 80s, I got turned on to lucid dreaming, and I've read a couple books on it. I started practicing that, and I was able to fly. I was able to, I could do anything I wanted to do. I could jump and bounce like really high. And one time I actually felt like I was on the surface of the moon. It was crazy.
Wait, you had access to some good drugs when you were a nurse too, right?
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about
Not
here?
not just when I was a nurse.
Okay. So what about the visitation? What made you think that?
Yeah, so I was kidding about that.
Yeah, me too.
So in the 90s, I got hurt at work, and I got hurt my back really bad in the ER, and then I started getting sick. You guys know I have a chronic illness. It's autoimmune. It sucks. But the first this is pertinent to the dream. I'm not going to go on forever about it, but I had about 8 years of just intense suffering. Like, my brain felt like it was just cement. I still have problems with it, but I couldn't think. I had a headache, chronic headache, like I said, chronic high pain, fatigue, and I was just totally discombobulated. So my parents had died. I lived in California. I moved back here, lived with them. They passed. I moved into another place. So I called it the cave because I had no strength to do any decorating or to make it into a lighthearted place. It was really just a place that I rested in. So I didn't feel real supportive by the people around me that should have been supporting me. I had my friends supporting me, but there was a lot of other lacking stuff. So I started having these dreams about my grandmother who had passed of Alzheimer's in 2005. And this all started for me, I moved back here in 2004. So I started having these dreams about her, just like regular dreams, and I was missing her. She had always been really supportive of me, always interested in what I was doing, would call me in California. So I started getting a little bit better. I started feeling a little bit more human. I was kind of branching out from just being in the bed. And one time, I can't even say I was dreaming because I didn't see any of the usual dream figures or landscape or anything. It wasn't like that. It was like there was a void, and I started seeing my grandmother. She materialized. Hold on, I gotta take a sip of water. So I wasn't awake. I wasn't lucid dreaming. I could have been asleep. So I see her come, and she's luminous, kind of glowing and sparkly. It makes me kind of get choked up. Kind of sparkly and ethereal. Like I said, not a dream. There was nothing else there. It was just her. And she looked 3D. She looked just like herself, maybe a little bit healthier. And she started saying to me, I am so proud of you for just getting through what you just got through.
Wow.
And she was looking at me into my soul. And she's like, you are amazingly strong. That would have put anybody down. And you should really, really be proud of yourself. And
Wow.
then she started going the things that you do. I wasn't so into animal rescue back then, but I was starting to, I still have always helped people when I can, or animals. She's like, you're just a very compassionate, kind person, and you have the strength of something I've never seen before. And I got really choked up, and I was like, oh my God, thank you. And she said, I am always here for you. I will always support you. You'll be fine. Just keep up what you're doing. Hang in there. And then she comes over and she gives me a hug. And you know how near-death experience people say, when you die, there's a universal love that you feel?
Yeah, yeah.
As soon as she grabbed me and hugged me, I felt that love. And I'm not a religious person.
Right.
I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. And I felt this feeling of just divine love.
Wow.
So she kept hugging me, and then she's like, I got to go. and I stopped hugging her, and then I woke up and I was crying, and I was sitting up in bed, which is no easy feat at the time. I was sitting up and I had my arms around myself, and I was hugging myself and crying.
Wow, that is amazing. Again.
But wasn't that a defining moment for you?
Oh yeah.
It changed,
Oh,
right?
it was
Your
before I even.
perspective and everything changed, didn't it?
Yep. And I felt like, thank God somebody reckoned, because when you have an illness like mine, they're called invisible illnesses. Nobody understands. Everybody probably thinks, well, why is she not working, or what's going on? And she was just like, you have got this. And it's like she recognized that, yeah, I'm sick as a fucking dog, pardon my French. But she was just like, you're just amazing. And she's like, just keep on going, keep on going. And like I said, that feeling of love, like that was like, remember that prison story I said when my mom came through with the medium, I got that euphoria. That's the only time else that I've ever had that related to a spirit visitation.
I kind of wonder, because I often say that I'm not a guardian angel believer in the terms of what mediums have told me guardian angels are. Just, it doesn't ring true to me because I'm not religious, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder, what your grandparents, Christopher, I mean, you wonder if, for lack of a better term, that they don't graduate to sort of guardian angel status.
Well, she said, I'm watching over you. I am here for you all the time.
Really strange. If you really want to get into it, you wonder if the ones that can come through have that kind of status. If there is such a thing.
100% of the belief, mine and mine alone, that when you have a connection with someone that's just not an acquaintance or whatever, but something that goes very deep, that is the very fiber of your being, that love cannot be destroyed.
I believe it too, but again,
always
you have to look at that from the other side of the coin and say, there's how many people out there that have had that same connection with people in their lives, and yet they're not having those visitations. You know what I mean?
I think it's like the same question, like, why do some people get this? Why does something happen, whether it's an illness or whatever?
Thank you, Donna. We got a couple of more people, but I appreciate
there's got to be some kind of an ingredient thing that's missing.
Maybe not. We do have others, but it is fascinating, and it shouldn't have taken us this long to have this discussion on an open forum, because listen to the what people are saying. It is, wow, very moving. There he is. Hold on one second. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
Good. It's been a while. How you been?
Been a while. Been busy. Very, very busy, unfortunately.
I know. I didn't want you to fall asleep. I had to get Jim on as soon as I could.
I tell you, there's a lot of nights I fall asleep by like 7 o'clock now. It's incredible. It's incredible. But anyway, won't get into that. So as I think both of y'all know, and some people in the chat maybe even know, my father passed away. It's got to be 17 years ago now. And it was unfortunate circumstances. Suddenly, he took his own life. And then a year or two prior to that, it was just a downward spiral. Drug use, infidelity. Won't get into the long story. Just not good times.
Right.
So, anytime, I don't dream regularly. Rarely ever dream. But he likes to come to me in my dreams. And it's not like he comes to me. It's as if it's living real world. I can't explain it. I wake up from it within 2 minutes. I can't even remember what happened, but these dreams are not good. It's contrary to what everyone else has said. Wow. They're usually traumatic, very emotional, very like upsetting. I'll wake up with my heart racing, panic stricken, upset, and where it kind of like all aligns, where there's something to it. Like maybe I'm just having some kind of oddball dream because it was bad times before he passed, right? But I mean, 99% of the times before that were good times.
Right.
My mother has very similar dreams.
Huh.
And then, if you all remember at the seance at the Ayers house.
Yeah.
Jane picked up on my father.
Wow.
And said, he's very happy where he is. He's not, he doesn't regret what he did. and he's coming across as very cavalier, very narcissistic, and very. So it's like, stop coming to me. Leave me alone. You did what you did, and you didn't leave anything as to why or
Right.
anything
Right.
along those lines. If you came and maybe he's meaning to come across good, but it's not coming across that way.
What?
It's
What? So there are no conversations. You're not talking
there
to him.
are. It's like living real world. These are events going on
Right.
that did not happen in real world.
Really?
They're like as if we're going somewhere or there's things, but I cannot remember after probably 90 seconds after I wake up. I just still feel the emotion.
Right.
They're
Right.
that vivid and that real.
Wow.
It's just crazy how real they are.
How
Like
often would you say?
not very often. My mother, I
Okay.
think more. I tried convincing her to come on. She wouldn't.
Yeah.
She's probably more often than me, and she says she's been having them more often. We moved about a year ago, almost a year to the day right now. Since we've moved, she's had them more often. And she
Wow.
was telling me at dinner, she thinks he's pissed off that we left the house, that he's there at the other
So
house
you
that we
moved
lived
from
at.
the house that he lived in.
Oh
you.
yeah, my childhood home. We moved out of there, and we were renting somewhere else, with about not even a mile away from each other.
Wow. See, that's a different type of thing because again, everyone else's
Yep.
visitation is so different. I
Oh, it just plays
wonder.
into my life.
If his narcissism
But-
followed him
but-
and through.
See, the narcissism is a weird thing, but I've listened to people talk about the afterlife, and there seems to be like a prevailing thought or theory that there is a life review, right? Now, if we go down that rabbit hole and he's showing you things that are these things that you're seeing, but you can't really remember them. But are they bad things or are they good?
It's usually not good events, but it's not stuff that actually happened. It's as if we're living in another dimension and other stuff is going on. Is
But it's still traumatic things.
It's
not
very
good
traumatic.
things.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it's not good things.
It's almost
Yeah.
like a Scrooge kind of
Wow.
Dickinson kind of
Yeah,
thing.
see, that's different. And,
You know?
Yeah, it's not cool.
and I wonder, I mean, I don't want to get too personal, but do you ever have any therapy about this stuff, Jim? At
Oh,
all?
I not about the dreams or anything. But
No, man, about your
went
dad.
I went to therapy for about 3 years after my father passed.
Yeah.
He was in therapy.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Wow, that is
now
again, that's
I've had good ones, and this is a weird one. It's my aunt, his sister, just passed away about a year ago. A year and 3 months. She was in the hospital, laid up, very bad condition. It was just counting down the days, basically. I had a dream with her, as vivid as these other dreams I'm describing. But I remember that one at the end. Goes, "Little Jim, don't worry. I love you. Take care of things." At the end, and then like 2 days later, she was gone.
oh my
Oh.
God.
And I hadn't seen her in person because of COVID and everything in like
Right.
probably 4 or 5 years.
See, that's something. Again, this is what I'm talking about though. When we were discussing doing this, and I had no idea what you were going to say. We didn't talk about this beforehand.
Nope.
It does run the gambit of the interactions, and you're the first one that really said a negative kind of interaction. And again, I wonder if there is a way to like through a trusted medium
I
or
think
somebody
maybe we should get him
to
with
prep
Jefferson.
yourself. Yeah, like Jefferson. I mean, to kind of prep yourself so that you're protected, I guess, for a lack of a better word, from that trauma over and over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I probably would be maybe open to something. I tell you what, it's like my blood pressure's got to be through the roof and my heart is racing when those dreams are
I
open.
mean, I could
It
look
is.
into that. I mean,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
not a
I
good
know
place to
Jefferson
be.
usually charges, but I may be able to talk to him and to helping you out. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's- It's very, and like I said, maybe it's him in his own way trying to come to let us know he's still there. Because so Jane's the only medium I've ever interacted with that's ever picked up on anyone that's been close to me. She picked up on my dad once. She picked up on my aunt's husband one other time. And during that same thing, she said, I think it was my mom's parents were with him and in his ear constantly to basically be a better person, more or less. And
I'm sure, but again, Grant Wilson, him and I had this whole long conversation, and he theorized that one of the progressions that you go through before you get to whatever happens is the life review. And he theorized that you could just get caught in that if you're not willing to face the things you've done.
Oh, that would be him to a T.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's like
Is
that
he caught? And I
over
just
and
got
over and
chills all
over.
over my body when I said
Yeah,
that.
the way he even, I'm not going to get into the method he
Right,
used to
right,
take
of
his own life
course.
or anything. He went to work on a Saturday. All right, not unusually. So he worked at a factory that's closed down here in Bayonne, and he kept on calling home saying, "I'm coming home soon, coming home soon." Finally, it was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. He wasn't good. So my mom and I drove down there. There was security on premises that did rounds. You seemed to be fine, or we checked in. He was gone already.
Oh, wow.
And he was there. He did paperwork for the mortgage at the time while he was there that day. He did a couple other things, but it was very strange to do that. I mean, it wasn't unusual for him to go to work on a Saturday, but he was gone for like from 9 in the morning until it was 3, 4 in the afternoon. We went to go.
God, how horrible. Oh, well.
Yep.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate
Yeah.
you sharing
No problem.
that. I mean, I really do. And I will talk to Jefferson and see if there's
No worries. If
Even
it's
to even to help you and your mom out.
Yeah,
so
I
your
mean,
my
mom's
mom's not
having
willing to
it.
do anything.
Well, maybe through you it can help.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for staying up, Jim. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks.
Take care.
Take care.
Wow. That was okay. One more. I'm gonna get to here. The last one. I don't know. Do you know
Wendy?
who that is? Is that Wendy?
Is it Wendy?
Wendy,
Hi.
I am so sorry.
It's okay. It's
I
okay
didn't know they were
because
going to be that interesting.
no.
That,
Well, you told me 3 people. It's fine. It's interesting because I can piggyback off what Jim was saying
Okay.
with my mom. That some people actually in the NJP community might remember my mom passed in November.
Yeah.
And my
sorry.
dreams. Thank you. My dreams about her, and I don't know if she's visiting me or if it's just me. She had dementia, and they are off the wall crazy. She doesn't speak to me in the dreams, but they're like horror dreams.
Wow.
And they're 10 times worse than I've ever seen anything that she did with her dementia.
Really?
Yes. She's up walking, then she's laying in blood. She's missing limbs, then she's back up together again. But in her mind, she's always very demented and confused. And that's how it comes to me.
Wow.
And I'm wondering, listening to Jim and other people, because she just passed recently, has she not completely let go of her situation and hasn't completely crossed over? Is she stuck? She is one person that I thought would come to me in dreams or in show, and she has not.
Right.
But sometimes I think maybe with dreams and stuff, it's not the reality. It's a feeling or a way of trying to get something across. Like I would have, and I'd wake up and tell John, because I'd wake up with my heart racing. When Krista passed, the way she passed was not normal. And I would have these dreams night after night where I'd be in a field, my daughter would be with me, and I'd look and there'd be a plane crashing into a school, and she'd go running into the building to save the kids, but of course she would die. Then the next dream would be there's something at the door and we know it's bad, but I can't get to her to save her before. And each one of these dreams, something was always happening to her. So I wonder if it's more like these are not real things happening. It's that feeling. It's the way to make you understand this is where I am or what I'm feeling.
Or maybe it's me saying I'm not resolved yet with her death because she died as well.
I have two minds when it comes to this sort of thing. Even with Jim, the same thing. Half my brain says, my God, how traumatic, to go through what you went through, and especially what he went through. And all of that unresolved stuff it's in there. Whether it's in the surface or it's way down below. And again, at night, our subconscious mind, it empties the tank. Everything comes out. My paranormal brain says, like you were just saying, there are mediums that say, someone just said to me the other day, Judy Hartke. My sister came up, and that was a month and a half ago. And Judy, I didn't bring it up, but she said, you shouldn't try to reach out or expect any communication. It takes 6 months. I don't know where the 6-month rule comes from, but to mediums that means something, and maybe it does. What do I know? But it could be either or none of the above. That, again, the transition is still happening and she is still in that altered state of mind, or this is your subconscious and all of your trauma just kind of
feeding.
Could be. And so I wanted to bring that up in contrast to my dad, who passed about 14 years ago, who, brief history, at around 20, when I was 20, my parents got divorced. And I was estranged from my dad for many, many years. I didn't reconnect with him until my early 40s.
Okay.
And we reconnected, and it was absolutely wonderful. We had some unresolved issues still, but we got along great. We talked every night for like 3-4 hours. I mean, for like years. And he passed suddenly, like after 3 years of me reconnecting with him. And he's definitely somebody that didn't think he would come to me in my dreams at all, because we weren't close, even as, you know, when I was a kid and stuff like that. He was very, very European, Czechoslovakian, stubborn, you know, everybody had its place. So he comes to me in my dreams often. Now, my mom will come to my dreams as well. When I speak to her, it's me speaking to her. She appears. My dad will be in the dream, but then you never see him. So they're never in the same dream together. If they are, you don't see one of them. Now, my mom never, when I have decent dreams about her, she never speaks to me.
Okay.
It's always in our childhood house, the last one that we all lived in together.
Okay.
But with my dad, and this only started maybe 3 years ago, he will talk to me. He holds my hand. We hug. Conversation. Now, I'm still the age that I am today. He's 40s or 50s.
Oh, wow.
He looks perfectly fine. Yeah. He's not his 70s when he passed. He looks, you know, like 40s or 50s. And maybe that could, again, be the time where that was kind of like when I last saw him, you know, as a kid.
That's what I was thinking as well. Yeah.
Right. But we have full-on conversations. We talk about today's stuff that's happening to me. The dream is real. I feel so loved.
Wow.
I feel so comforted. When I wake up, the world is perfect. And I just know that I've talked to him. I wake up and I just know that was him. He was here. He spoke to me. He's comforting me. And it doesn't have to be that I'm in a bad mood or feeling stressed.
He's just there.
He's just there. And I'd say at least once a month.
So I have a perspective that just to throw out there, because I always like to play devil's advocate. So you said about you being estranged from him and the way that he is. That's your interpretation of him, correct? So what if his interpretation of you is completely different? Like for you, you were his everything.
I was his baby. I was his special. He had so many names for me. You know, when we reconnected, he was still treating me like I was 14, 15.
Yeah, yeah.
He wanted me to come have a sleepover and go camping. And I'm like, Dad, I'm 40-something. I don't do sleepovers. But I'll come over for dinner, you know? So he introduced me to all his church friends, come to church with me. And, you know, so, yeah. But
you had that time again, though.
I was so, yes. I reached out to my siblings because they were estranged as well. I was the only one that was able to have that connection. And I was just so grateful. That was sent to me by the gods. Like it just definitely was. The universe was saying, you know, you need to see him. And I found out I'm so much more like him than anybody else in my family. And I just thought I was just weird.
Well,
but I didn't really know him. I didn't really know. Hey. So yes, but I can tell the difference. Like he'll be in a dream sometimes where he's older, or I know he's not in good health. In those dreams, we don't talk. I barely see him. It's like I don't even see his face. In these other dreams where I truly believe he's with me and visiting me, he's a full whole person, 3D, talking, joking, and the conversation is just so easy.
Wow.
It's
and that's kind of maybe how I tell the difference of how I feel like it's a visitation. Hey, oh, sorry, the cats are fighting. I'm at my I'm sorry. I'm at my sister's in Florida. I have my 3 cats and her 2 cats. So,
well, thank
yeah,
you for
they
joining
just
us, Wendy and Sharon. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate that. Take
That's
care.
right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Wow, boy, did that turn into something that I had no expectations of that open forum.
That's pretty cool.
I really didn't. And thank you, Jim, everyone.
You guys shared
Laura,
some really
everyone
deep
shared.
stuff.
Again, this is what it's about. We are a community. We do share a life experience. We do have loved ones that have passed. The paranormal is so much more than just ghost hunting and going into buildings, and it's so much more to that. And I'm grateful that we have you guys watching and joining us, and that Christopher, everyone that came on tonight, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
But do you see that this is so much more? This is a connection with humanity and our deeper what makes us and gives us, I've heard different things from different people on here tonight that it changed their perspective. That from going the lowest low to coming out of something and having strength to fight something, to I'm still struggling with some things that, hopefully can be addressed or worked out going forward. I mean, these are real human conditions and things that when you talked about, is it a visitation? Is it a dream? Is it your subconscious? There's so much involved. We're very complex. And I think these conversations and these discussions really help.
The interesting thing is it could be one or the other. It could be none of it, but
there
is the possibility that it can be either. And in some cases, I do believe it. So like I said, I'm not so much of a skeptic that I can't believe the possibility, because I do. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. We'll be back on. Well, Chris might not be, but I'll be back on in a few days. But wow, this is definitely one that I'll remember. All right, guys.
Me too.
Have a good night, everyone.
Stay safe, stay healthy, and please remember to be kind to each other. Good night.